The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Brook.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, Paul Brook, and on tonight's show, I'm joined by two lovely co-hosts tonight. We have the ever lovely Kerry Greenway.
Hello.
Hello. That was a bit of a delay, wasn't it?
Hello. Sorry, I'm concentrating. Hello, everybody. Hello. Is that better?
That's better. Yeah, a lot better, actually. And we're also joined in the studio by the lovely Gemma Lee Drury.
Hi, guys. You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
Cool. And what have you been up to, paranormal-wise? Anywhere interesting?
Who?
You.
Oh, me? I've not been out actually. I went to Audley End House, is it? Over the weekend.
Audley End, yeah, I know that place.
Yeah, I went for a nosy. Stunning. Absolutely stunning building, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then
weekend place, you know that, don't you?
It's what, sorry?
I'm going to buy it, and that's going to be my weekend place.
Oh, is that your hangout, is it, Paul?
It is, yeah.
Well, can you do something about the furniture? Because there's absolutely nowhere to sit down. So can you sort that out?
Of course, I'll bring some chairs. It's fine.
Oh, good man. Well, there is some chairs there, but you know those silly little cone things that they like to put on chairs?
Oh, yeah.
They're just covered in them. Or they're roped off. And I'm like, oh, come on. If I'm going to make out I'm living in a posh house, at least let me sit down.
Yeah, they've got them in Happy House as well. He's the one that puts the pine cones out.
Yeah. Wow, there's a famous ghost there, apparently.
Well, he didn't introduce himself. Yeah, pine cone. He didn't introduce himself, Kerry. I was disappointed.
Oh, that's just wrong, right?
I know, right? In all fairness, though, on a serious note, that whole location is beautiful.
Mm.
I can see why you want to buy it for your weekend house.
Yeah. And so the other one we went to the other week, Hatfield House, that's on my list as well for the summer place.
Oh, so you're going to have a weekend place, a summer place, anything else, Paul?
Yeah, I might get a holiday retreat somewhere.
South of France, maybe.
I was looking in the US for like one of the mental asylums. Oh, I thought that'd be quite nice.
Just to pop to, right?
Yeah, that's it. Just to pop to off the off chance, fancy a bit of ghost hunting one day, and yeah, why not? We'll go there. That's quite a good idea.
Yeah, not bad. Kerry, what have you been up to?
Nothing. I've been busy just staring at the box on my desk and crying a lot. That's called tech for you. I've been in nervous breakdown mode about my tech. That's what I've been doing.
On the plus side, you do have a C key.
Pardon?
On the plus side, you do have a C key now.
I do have a C key. Yeah, it's been one long disaster after another with tech. But no, it's been really interesting. I've been blogging a lot recently.
I've read 2 blogs actually that you've done, Kerry, and 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
They are amazing.
Thank you.
When
I spoke to CJ Simmons a couple of weeks ago now, and he said, and this was like the biggest compliment, I think, was he said, like, you're making it understandable, like complicated terms you're making understandable. He said, and I need that. He said, and I know a lot of people kind of get bogged down with the terminology and you're making it understandable. And I'm like, that's kind of really what I've always tried to do is make...
But how many times...
I have to do it for me. I had to do that for me, though. You know,
I mean, how many times have we said this to you before, though? As much as, I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a whole ton of information out there if you're willing to go looking for it, but a lot of it is academically written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times have we said that your average person is going to pick it up, read a couple of pages and go, that's nice. Oh, look, take a break. I'm going to read that.
Yeah, but then when I spoke to Cal Cooper on the spirit dimension, I addressed this with him because obviously he's a, doctor. And,
a doctor.
He's a doctor. I just want to call him Doctor Who. He just reminds me of that kind of character. And I said, that is the problem. You know, you've got a lot of people in the field that are really, really interested and kind of want to know, but they get so baffled by the information sometimes. And there's a definite divide, an academic divide in the field.
Massive.
You know what I mean? And this is why I think that's why there's that division in the field between the, like the ghost clubs and the SPR and the ASAPs and, and the ghost hunting communities, because there doesn't seem to, there's a misunderstanding between them. Yeah, actually, if you start, at cross-dressing it, Cal can talk very academically, but then he can talk quite normally and make it understandable too. And a lot of these people are very, very good at actually coaching it like that, having two levels that they can talk on. And it's actually breaking your own fear barrier down to approach these people or go to these meetings or try out a day at, one of these places and actually try it for yourself and see that it's not what you think it is. It is accessible, it is understandable, and actually it's very enjoyable.
Well, I was so scared it was unreal. I'm not going to lie. I went off to the SPR thinking I'm not going to understand a word that they're going to be saying. I mean, let's be realistic. A spade is a spade and all that. And I'm not the most academic person going. But I actually did understand it. And as you just said, it was very enjoyable. So would I go again? Yes.
Yeah, I think sometimes people are afraid to ask questions as well. So if they don't understand something, if you're talking to someone that is academically minded and they're spouting what they're trying to get across, but you don't understand it, question it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get an explanation from them, because I'm sure they'd be quite happy. I mean, they started off somewhere as well, so I'm sure they'd be more than happy to try and layman term it for you as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. But it's having that courage, though, isn't it? Like Kerry just said, it's having that courage to be able to say, well, actually, I sort of understand the concept.
Yeah.
But I'm not understanding the terminology of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that, totally. And it's getting it to understandable terms. I'd say, there is a famous meme, isn't there, that you see, and it's like my Google search is generally words that I've tried to find out what they mean. Or how to spell something.
Oh, mine's definitely how to spell. Yeah. Praise the Lord for spell checker.
And when I'm reading an article or something online or a concept, butterfly effect, pure example of a recent research project that I've been doing. Oh my God, that. Literally, I was like, we went into equations, and I'm like, like when you're looking at something, and it's like they're all swimming around, and you're thinking, oh, I'm now dyslexic with these equations. I have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Did I ever need this at school? I thought not. Clearly, I did, because I can't understand it. But no, when I was looking at that particular concept and where it came from, and the, it actually came out from a geological, atmospheric-y type thing, and they worked it out and whatnot. Thoroughly, fantastically interesting, and it will be a blog, everybody. There's no doubt about it, to dumb this down for you guys. But yeah, thoroughly interested. But the terminology, and that day, I think I went through a dictionary.
Well, you don't get much more of a complex system, do you, really, than those equations? I mean, I don't do equations in any single way, shape or form anyway. Like, when we was looking at ciphers, Kerry...
Oh, God. No, when you was looking at ciphers and I was laughing.
Well,
a lot.
Well, we've evened ourselves out now because I did the ciphers, you could do the equations, so we're even, right? Because I ain't going anywhere near them.
All I can say is thank God for YouTube on the equations, everybody. There was a lovely man, very boring voice, but lovely man who was stood in front of a whiteboard and was writing things out, as they do. And that's all I can say is, like, that's what I do. If I don't understand something, I keep going. Holographic universal theory. Another example. How many physicists did I listen to talking about that before I got it into my brain in an understandable...
Did we all ever say thank you for that, by the way?
We're never going to say thank you for that.
So you've heard it here first. Kerry likes to do the research and stuff and get to the nitty gritty. So next week we're going to do cosmology.
Oh no. Actually, the one thing that I couldn't get in my brain was astrology. That was no. To be fair, I didn't have much interest in it, and I think that's key.
I mean, I do like, as everyone knows, I do like to ask questions, and a lot of them. And I still think the best subject I've ever approached with questions is religion. Love that topic, and I remember years ago I went for a Godfather's course because you have to go on a course for Godfather now, and the amount of questions I fired off to that vicar, and he had an answer for every single one of them.
Oh my God, talking theology.
But the hardest concept to grasp was the fact where everyone struggled with it except me. He said that the Holy Trilogy, that's what he was talking about, God the Father, Son and Holy Spirit, although they're three different entities, they're still God. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, how can you work? How can that be? How can all three things be the same God? And I was like, well, actually, the way I put it together in my mind was like ice, water, and steam. As they're three substances, but all the same. But that's sort of I just think outside the box, I suppose. But I can grasp most concepts.
But that's the key with concepts. It's getting it into a way that you understand it. And if that's equating it to something like that for you, then that's key. That's the point. That's how you do it. And the only way you're going to do that is by keep looking at it from different angles. That's what it's about. And then when you get it to an understandable form in your own head, you can then talk about it and put that forward. And that's keeping at it, I think, is it. Because everyone can look at a complicated, concept and just go, I don't understand that, and walk away from it. But you've got to keep... It's almost like dog with a bone kind of scenario. Keep at it.
Yeah, that's it, totally. I mean, once you've got it, as you said, you understand it and run with it, definitely. But I did try and catch them out with things like, why are there no dinosaurs in the Bible? And it's, well, actually,
there were.
I know that he pointed them out to me. Although they don't mention dinosaurs as dinosaurs, and giant lizards and giant creatures, which can be interpreted as dinosaurs.
Oh, okay.
So, and I was like, oh, really? I was so gutted at that. And it was like, the only one he didn't answer, I think it might have sort of put his nose out of joint a bit, was why did they say touch wood for good luck? Because it didn't work with Jesus. I think that was
oh my God.
But that's the only one he didn't answer, to be fair.
For the life of me, understand why.
Maybe there was a different origin for that, I don't know. But
Maybe a different audience.
I'm literally face palming right now.
I know, right? I'm actually glad that people at home can't see our faces right now, is all I'm going to say.
Anyway, let's change the subject.
Please do. Please do.
So, right, Paul, you've been doing some road trips. I mean, you mentioned Hatfield House, but you was out and you went to the Shell Grotto, didn't you, a little while ago? Or last week?
Yeah, last week it was, last Saturday. Myself and Richard Clements, who is the station founder, we decided to do these road trips. We've been doing them for a few weeks now. And as I was a kid, I grew up in like the Medway area anyway, so I knew these places. So we took a trip down to Shell Grotto. I've not been there since I was about 13. And yeah, it's like literally in the middle of a housing estate. From what I can remember, it was discovered by someone in their back garden. They just fell through into this like cave system.
Yeah.
And it was all decorated very intricately with lots of different shells, oyster shells, clams, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All that, all over the walls in so intricate detail. It was absolutely amazing location. It's not very long, but it's almost like done as a place of worship. But I don't actually think it was. There's like many theories about what it could have been, but no one really knows for sure. No one knows who made it. It was very big on smugglers.
I can't see smugglers spending the time to do that, though.
I was just thinking that they're hardly going to be like, oh, hang on, one must decorate. Do you know what I mean?
No, it must have taken them years.
You never know who might pop round for a cup of tea.
But no, I mean,
know?
short distance away, there is what's known as Margate Caves, and that was all smugglers. So whether they're connected in some way, I don't know. But yeah, we went into Shell Grotto. I think it was like £4.50 to get in. But we took a video as we went round, so we'll play that out at some point in the near future, hopefully, so everyone can have a look at it. Because we couldn't do the live feed, so I took a video instead.
Yeah, it's already up on the group page.
All right, cool.
We tried to do it on the live, didn't we? When we went live and was testing the checkout, it was something that we was able, or hopefully will be able to incorporate within the shows. And we weren't able to do it because it crashed. So we've actually shared it to the group page now.
But we're looking into more tech to be able to do those sort of shows, so we can play out the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So that we've got that coming in time, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If Kerry can get the tech right.
Oh.
All I'm going to say is I'm going to get it all sorted. I'm going to go on holiday and then leave it to him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
We'll come back and it'll be blown up.
Probably will. I'll be like, what did you do? It was working perfectly.
Yeah, I only pressed that button. But then after Shell Grotto, we went to Reculver Towers, which is a Roman fort literally on top of a cliff that's falling away into the sea gradually. And we had a look around there. Then where did we go? We missed Rochester because we wanted to go to Rochester Castle, but they've got the festival on at Rochester, or they did have at the weekend, celebrating the chimney sweeps and Dickens style and stuff like that. So we gave that because it would be really busy, and so we ended up in Upnor Castle. And that was a very interesting place. Again, I think Richard posted his pictures and stuff on Facebook, so hopefully he can post them in the group page if he hasn't already.
Yeah, I think he has.
And just like a short explanation of what the fort was there for, because it was supposed to defend the Medway against the Dutch, but failed miserably. So yeah, it was an interesting day out, that one.
So this
They
all got
all
me
look
thinking.
it.
all of these things have got me thinking, right? All of these day trips you guys have been having set my little brain waves off. And you believe it or not, they're all haunted. All of these places are haunted that you've got to.
Or alleged.
Allegedly haunted, depending on what you believe haunting is. But, we'll go with haunted, And we don't go down the theology route right now. We just talk haunted, all right?
Different topic, right?
Okay, right. So, you've got in the day.
Yep.
And you could easily have an experience in the day as you could at night time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In fact, statistically, you're more likely to.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the difference then? There's a concept for you to gnaw your teeth into, you two.
Quite
easy.
The difference between the two is one's in the day.
Night and day. Yeah, light and dark.
Fear factor.
Sun up and the moon's up.
Gemma?
I'm just going with the fear factor. That is the only difference.
So a heightened emotional state.
Heightened emotional state, yep.
That's the only difference.
Yep.
And obviously, there's more people in the daytime as well.
There's what? Sorry.
So there's more people in the daytime as well. So you if you start hearing noises of footsteps and things, you can put it down quite easily to people walking above you and floors below you and stuff like that. So
statistically, you are more likely to have an experience in the day than at night.
Well,
not always realise it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I would love to do an investigation at Shell Grotto. It's just one of those places that the ambience and it is just so calm in there.
The problem is, though, with those kind of places is acoustics.
Mm.
Yeah, but then if you're sitting there on your own, right at the end of the cave system, because I mean it's not a massive cave system. Don't get me wrong. So if you're sitting at the end of it, you can still hear someone at the front, but as you come in. But if you're the only one down there, I'd be well up for that.
But go look at Hellfire Caves. If you had, somebody was right at the back of the caves there, the tunnel system's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would still hear noises if you're, the rest of your team is sort of like at the beginning, because
I can confirm this is true.
Because it does carry.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Fort Redoubt, in Harwich. That is notorious, and purely and simply because of how it's set out. So acoustically, you've got to be very, very aware of stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That would go in knowing your location, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and even if you go in there not knowing the location, you can still go there and investigate. So even if you heard something, go and investigate it. That's what part of being an investigator is all about.
Yeah, but you should be looking for logical reasons, don't you feel? Or
well, yeah, because you've got to, haven't you? You've got to rule out the logical. It's that famous, well-known saying by Sherlock Holmes that I can never get right.
When you get rid of all the most improbable is probably the answer, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Now there was a man.
I can never.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
That's right. Well, you know what I mean.
Mark used it in his blog recently about aliens, didn't he?
Absolutely, and it's spot on. That's definitely one way to work. But always look at the logical explanations before paranormal.
So we have to account then for acoustics in all of the locations. So acoustically, we then need to look into that as become like mini experts. This is not going to become a full-blown expert. You're just going to become a mini expert.
Just a mini one.
Just a little one, yeah. But you have to have some awareness, some knowledge of that, which leads you down to not just knowing your location, but you're going to have to know a hell of a lot of other topics. How many teams know a broad range of topics, do you feel, in the field at the moment?
This is why it's best to speak to other paranormal teams. I've said it so many times, just because I can't explain anything doesn't make it paranormal. So if I find something that I can't explain, I could say, go to Gemma and say, have you ever seen anything
And Gemma
like
would say, "Oh, I don't know what you're coming to me for. Go to Kerry."
Exactly.
There we go. Oh, acoustics. Oh, I know. Norman Fay. He's the one.
Then I could go to and say, there you go. And he could come up with an explanation for me. And this is the way forward, I think, with the paranormal, because none of us are experts. Okay, we have knowledge of one subject than another. We can't.
Yeah, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Totally get that, and I would never
Even
never
in
dispute
science,
that.
they do it.
Yeah,
You
collaboration's definitely key, right?
Yeah.
But, and this is where I'll become very unpopular, but it's true, so never mind. There's a lot of people that will not share the information that they have.
No, and that I just can't. I really don't understand why. Well, no, I do know why, because there are a lot of people out there that can't be trusted, and they will steal evidence because they think it makes them famous. So I can understand that concept, but when, like with Parasearch, we've got some really good paranormal investigators that we've interviewed. We've even got people with PhDs and stuff that we've interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
We can go to them and say, look, this is sort of what we've caught. Can you offer us another explanation? So collaborate like that. I mean, that's just one of the benefits of being Parasearch. But it's just who you know really in the field, I suppose.
But even though some of these people, getting them to work with you isn't that easy.
No, I agree.
No, but you can still ask their advice.
Yeah, but you don't always get it either.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, you see, Kerry's with me on this. Us girls are going to stick together on this one. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've met some amazing people in the paranormal field, some of which I class as friends, which is great. I can have a full-blown conversation with them.
Yeah.
But the people that I class as acquaintances, as much as you try, and even when you're interviewing, as much as you try to dig deeper to get the information that they know out in the open, sometimes they can be very cagey and want to cling on to it because it's their work. And I get that, because when you work hard for something, it becomes your baby, like Kerry in her tech at the minute. It's as much as she wants to throw it out the window, it's still her baby at the minute. She's working hard trying to get that as it should be. But how is anything ever going to evolve unless people are willing to say, well, actually, I sat down and I found A, B, and C, and then for somebody else to say, well, actually, I could add on to that D and E.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you build a bigger picture there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ashley has put in the chat room, discussion amongst the collective. He always has to posh it up, doesn't he? Discussions amongst the collective is the only way to discern all probable explanations possible. Which is very true.
Yeah.
You have to discuss it. If you don't discuss it, I mean, following my water memory blog that I put up, which was basically not debunking, but showing that it's an improbability as a single entity within that theory. It's a bigger picture than just the water side of things. When I was researching that, there was, we was looking at psychic energy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there was a test done, and the guy did 9 tests. And then that was then peer reviewed, and they couldn't recreate that. So there's other things going on. So peer review is important because you get other opinions. That way you can then add protocols in that would make those tests more probable. More, tighten things up if you're not necessarily done the right protocols in the first place. This should be happening in regards to things like the S-test experiment recently that everyone's now playing with out in the field. When we looked at that, there were straight away we came up with problems.
Well, yeah, I mean, we sat for what, a couple of hours, because we all watched Hellier together. And we sat for a couple of hours and just discussed it, just a few of us, just chinwag, not pulling its pieces or anything, literally just discussing it as a method. And we found flaws with it that could have been tightened.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's not, like you say, Gemma, we weren't, being derogatory or disrespectful in any way. We were just going, great, that's a fantastic idea. However, how could you make that better? How could you tighten that up?
Exactly. And isn't that what we should be doing anyway?
I think so.
It's like last night, did you see the new TV show? I don't even know what it's called. How bad's that? The new TV show that's out started last night.
No,
Lee Roberts.
I missed that.
Well, Lee Roberts on there. He there was a bit with an SLS camera. Now again, all equipment has its pros and its cons, right? Mm-hmm. We'll just go with that. But Lee Roberts was the only one that said, "Well, actually, I don't believe that could be paranormal for A, B, and C." And it was actually refreshing to hear somebody say, "Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that is paranormal."
But it's great, like you say, to have that discussion. And actually, it's very brave if you're in a group of people and they're all going, "Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, we caught that, we caught that absolutely fantastic piece of footage," or whatever it be. Yeah, and then one person goes, "Well, actually, I don't actually think." It's quite brave to do.
Of course it is, yeah, 10 out of 10. I mean, in all fairness, I took straight to Facebook, see his comments on there or see him post on there. So I actually said to him, as I do, because you know what I'm like, I'm not one for holding back. I did actually say to him, "Loved what you said about the SLS, mate," because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too keen on the SLS cameras either, I must admit. I wouldn't have them in any of my investigations.
But then everybody does it differently, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not knocking anyone for doing it. At the end of the day,
but this is what I'm saying, though. Because we all do things differently, surely if we all came together...
to try and make it better.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that. But then I'm not an expert in any way on the SLS camera or the Connect system in total, so I wouldn't... I mean, people have said to me about...
Could you be a mini expert, though?
No. I've got no interest in the SLS camera at all, to be fair. But, I mean, if they come up and prove to me that it did work... then I'd think, well, okay, there could be some merit in it. Let's give it a go. But at the moment, it's too underdeveloped. I'm not.
You see, I think we have to be really careful here, not to go on a whole tech discussion, because I could go on for a while about the SLS camera, which isn't gonna be nice. So. But again, it's a good job people really can't see our faces, isn't it? Honestly, the faces I pull while we're on the radio is hilarious. But
which we'll all get to see soon.
She looks like a cyber woman.
I'm
going to start to drink gin before every show, because then the face might lag a bit.
Lagging faces. God, dear.
But again, it goes to belief system, doesn't it? And I think a lot of people in the paranormal field do go out looking for ghosts.
Yes, and
there are.
This is something I've started to address in... I hate to keep going back to my bloody blogs, but this is where I'm going with my blogs. My next blog will be out next week. And actually, I wrote it yesterday. Funny enough, I just pinged it over and you started talking belief systems in your show last night, Gemma. And I'm like, oh God, how relevant is that? You know what I mean? Because it actually, from my research, belief systems is actually so integral.
Oh, it's huge.
It is so integral. And the more I look at it, it's so dependent on the person's belief system as to how the activity is appearing to that person.
Yeah. Well, like you just said, look, I mentioned it yesterday in last night's show for the simple reason I'd been doing a bit of research on Fisco's theory.
Yes.
And when you look into him as a person, he's actually a very religious man. And I didn't know that before researching for last night's show. And it was at that point that I was like, well, actually, I could take his theory right up until the point where he goes specific about religion. At that point, he's lost me. I've gone back to take a break at that point. because it sounds awful, but because it's too focused on a specific area, because it's too religion based, and it's all based around, well, not all based around his religion, but there's a lot of that. It's like you're being force fed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So basically, it's almost like the feel is he's using it as a vehicle to push his religion. But
and I know that's not what he's doing, but.
No, but you've got to go back to the basis of all religion, that it's a point in time where a God turns around and says, let there be light. And everything in the universe conforms to a certain pattern. Right.
I love it how you get all religious on us.
No, right. And we work it. Oh, I'm not even going to go down this road because I'll get myself all twisted and turned around and stuff. But there is an explanation behind it. And basically, if everything's conforming to a specific pattern...
I think you should just elaborate, actually, Kerry, on this one.
No, Gemma. No. It's basically down to the patterns of physics in the universe. So it ties into science as well as it does into spirituality. And if everything's conforming to the same thing, where did that pattern originate from the first place? And everything that is knowledgeable comes from patterns. Or data, as we put in the chat room.
God.
Right. Comes from these patterns. But where did those patterns start from in the first place? It must have come from somewhere. And
chemicals.
That is the argument.
Chemicals.
Chemistry.
Or lack of chemicals in one's brain. Because let's face it, the brain on its own is a whole different story, isn't it?
It's all chemistry and physics that created everything.
But they still conform to patterns, specific patterns, which ties into his sacred geometry, which ties into bubbles of gravity, and it all gets a bit confusing. But that's how he's marrying his belief system in religion in regards to the physics and the scientific side of things and his theory. It's a theory. It's an interesting theory, fantastically interesting theory. I haven't read the book that you're reading, but I know his work, and I have spoken to Thomas. Yeah. And I think there's something in it, but he's missing a point somewhere, but I haven't quite got to the point where I know what point he's missing. Does that make sense?
Completely. I'm with you completely, which is what I said. I can run with his theory to a certain extent, but again, mixing that up with other people working together, surely that's going to expand on that aspect.
True. But
maybe give us a bit of answers.
No, I don't disagree. And how many times have people been completely dismissed for years and years and years, and at some point someone goes, "Oh, he was right all along." Einstein.
Oh yeah, I said that last night too.
Yeah, you said that last night. And this is the point. If we open those lines of communication with each other, and all of us, if we don't necessarily agree with what they're saying, we make the effort to understand that perspective.
Well, you don't have to agree with everything that's been said, though, do you?
No, you don't. And you know what? It's the same in no matter what science you're looking at. Even if it's like paranormal, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever, there's always someone that will come out with a theory and they will be completely dismissed until someone comes along, does it, and then they go, "Oh, actually, yeah, that's right. Wasn't penicillin discovered as a mistake?"
Yeah, and warfarin.
Exactly. So it's in no matter what science you're looking at, it's always going to be the same.
I totally agree, and that's why it's so important to keep talking to people, to keep listening to the podcasts, reading the blogs, pushing your perspectives and your personal beliefs, and be aware of your own personal belief systems. I mean, when I first came into the field, and this was a while ago now, my belief system is totally spiritual. It was like, and I will fully admit this, all manifestation of spirit energy.
Oh, mate, I was all in with the K2 was a ghost.
Yeah.
Well, not the K2, you understand. I never thought the actual K2, but communication. Yeah, we've all been there because this is what we're trained by watching these TV programs, is it not? There's a box on the floor, it's got some flashy lights. That's a ghost trying to communicate, when in actual fact, it's not.
No.
But that comes from
But the million things that you're missing while you're busy staring at this box on the floor, now that could be paranormal, but, let's look at the box, because it flashes, right?
It's very effective, though. It's very pretty when it lights up.
Oh, it looks beautiful, yeah. Messes with your eyes a bit, because, your eyes have just adjusted to the dark, and then you get this bright flash of light. It's like, thanks for that.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware of your own belief systems as well, for what you're seeing and believing, because belief systems are incredibly fundamental in your subconscious, and you already start everything you do and everything you judge and everything you perceive actually comes from your subconscious belief systems that were set in from when you were like up to the age of 7. You grow and you build new ones, but the majority of your belief systems are set through that 7-year period of childhood.
But again, that brings you onto your mind.
Yeah, totally.
Because we don't know the mind's full capabilities.
Exactly.
No, we don't. But and we also know how unreliable our body is.
Oh, God, yeah.
When we've talked about subjects before, like, audio pareidolia, we've talked about musical ear syndrome, we've talked about, just how your body reacts to food and drink that you eat on investigations before now. We've talked about loads and loads of different concepts. When we talked about the Mandela effect, we even looked at how our brain stores and creates memory, and it's not straightforward, as everybody thinks, and so we know how unreliable our physical body is. It's an incredibly amazing tool as well. I'm not going to discount the positives of our bodies, but it is very, very misleading in regards to, what you're seeing and perceiving and believing as well.
So basically, what you're saying is the best way to do a paranormal investigation is not to be there. Because you're going to be having...
We've discussed this. Even if we have equipment in there, are we changing the environment to affect the
electrically,
environment?
Yes, you are. You're
Exactly.
affecting it.
So the only way to totally not affect it is to just never be there and never investigate it.
But then we will never have any answers either.
But we wouldn't have those answers. But it's a collective of fields, isn't it? It's not just like a paranormal investigator going out with their K2 or Melmeter or REM pod. It's a collection of fields where you've got physicists and you've got physiologists. I'm going to get me semiologists muddled up in a minute. And then you've got your psychologists and people that are integral in the field to bring it all together. The more I look at this, though, this whole scenario of the paranormal, it all comes back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the human.
Massively.
Of course it does.
I had this conversation recently, actually. Quite an in-depth conversation about this recently. But then I think we've all had this conversation at some point or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me. But, but it's a logical assumption though, right?
Definitely. It's not a huge leap to make, is it?
I don't think it's a huge leap at all when you start building the evidence surrounding things. And so, in that first blog, I looked at tulpas and I looked at, but that's my next blog. No, that's the next blog.
Well, at least we know what the next one's on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I go. I look at the Genius Loci and I look at the tulpas next in the next blog, and then sorry. Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, I remember actually looking at tulpas at one point, Kerry. We was doing a little bit of research for one of your shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, but there are differences between things. But when you start looking at, some of the concepts I brought through in my first blog and then what I go on to discuss in the second blog, the common denominator is all thoughtful manifestations.
Yeah. Which is
we
us.
are capable, and we've got, I'm not going to say proof, but we've got evidence that is building towards that, then you have to look at yourself and your team and go, okay, so we're believing that this place is haunted before we even enter the building. And if you're believing it straight away that place is haunted because you've heard of all the ghosty stories and you've talked to all the other teams that have been in there.
If you do get to capture some sort of evidence, then it's also a good idea, rather than saying, okay, yeah, it's paranormal, or that we've thought it up or manifested it. It's always good to know, we could say, well, okay, we know someone who's got a PhD in physics, for example. Let's get his take on it. See if he can explain it. Go to someone like another scientist at some stage.
Yeah. But I was reading something the other day, and it was talking about that reality is only what we've created ourselves out of, believe it or not, but out of a belief in ourselves, and we are just information. So, and in my head, I'm equating it. In my head, I'm going Matrix. That leads you into concepts of like things like the Matrix. We're all just information. You know what I mean? And then I started thinking, could I do weird things with my hands and spoons and stuff? Because if we are information, then we've got that. Honestly, you do go down little weird brain patterns, don't you? When you start
I do some magic things with my hands. I pick up a knife and fork and I eat.
Do you know what? That's sort of the route I'm going to go down in my next blog. Plugging my blog next.
Go on then, Paul.
We got a little bit of a blog off going amongst the Parasearch team.
Absolutely.
Now. This is the problem. Yeah. But it is. If we're all information and nothing is actually physical hard, do you know what I mean? If it is just information, and you can release your mind from that prison of belief,
then you're free of the Matrix.
Shows how amazing. What possibilities does that lead you to? I go down to see it. This, honestly, I should be left alone. Is all I'm saying.
But I think a lot of people are going down this very same route at the minute, Kerry. Sarah Chimasero, I've read one of her blogs recently, and she's going down the same route too.
Yeah. Exactly, because when you start reading, some of the scientific reports that are coming out, when you're starting to read this, you can't help but go down these thought patterns and these ways. Oh. You know what I mean? And actually, if you're on your own doing it, you are not influenced.
But don't you find that you tend to go off on your own anyway?
Yeah.
No, I think you have a lot of peer pressure on you at times from various people. I think sometimes that's if you're in a paranormal team and they're a very spiritual team working in a very spiritual way, I think that peer of belief in regards to the spiritual side of things overtakes. It's a natural human response.
Oh God, yeah. But I mean, as your research goes deeper, you then find yourself.
You come up with your own theory.
You end up a bit lonely as such.
Well, yeah, you do end up lonely.
Everybody moves at a different pace, right? And some people are happy to stick to what they know and what they love, whereas others will question and then you can end up a bit lonely at times down this bumpy road that we're going to call paranormal.
That's true. Then you outgrow people, don't you? You do find yourself outgrowing people.
And then we'll all end up with our own PhDs in specific areas.
We'll all become experts, then we'll all become a collective, and then we'll solve it, right?
Mine's only going to be a mini one, guys. Let's not push it.
Got somewhere.
I still need time to eat, just saying.
It's okay. You can eat and read. It's fine. Eat and read.
Yeah.
Not in a library, because I don't like that for some reason. I don't know why.
It'll be the crumbs
So
on the books.
I was to Kerry the other night and said that I wanted to do a blog on time travel.
Oh no!
Wow.
Did you ask about the can of beans and the whisk?
I'm actually going to add that in there.
Relevant theory. All I'm saying.
Because again, people, Mark in particular, keeps banging on about UFOs. My theory starts off with time travel and just branches off into the whole UFO thing. I won't give too much away, but that sort of started with the conversation we had with Ashley, and he set my mind racing forward. And
was that the night with the can of beans and the whisk?
It was actually, yeah. And I think my blog is going to start with the line somewhere that Grant can be in a whisk because we're on an amazing journey now.
All I'm going to say is that night, I actually really wish that it weren't a show, but I really wish that night was recorded so you could just play that out to people. Because I think you've said it to me before, Paul. You know, if you're ever feeling a bit down in the dumps, just think back to that conversation because it was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Kerry and Ashley going hammer and tong, and then there was like me and you sat there just howling because it was hilarious.
Yeah, there was a definite opinion on that night.
Ashley was talking about time travel, and then if you go back in time, you're not going to end up. You're not going to be in the same place back in time.
Let's not ever mention a time slip, right? We're not going to get no.
To be fair, I'm going to put that into my theory as well, because it does branch off.
This blog in itself is going to be a PhD in time travel.
I know, right? I was just thinking that. Is it a blog or is it a PhD?
It's going to be my PhD thesis, definitely. I'll submit it later. But yeah, it's going to dive into other areas as well, not just time travel. But that's the one piece that holds it all together.
The can of beans and the whisk.
Yeah, can of beans and a whisk.
Yeah, infamous, mate. Infamous theory and concept, that one, and that is my PhD on how it is possible.
Jobs are good at.
Well, I was on the show the other night with Rob Guthrie, and he had thunder where he was, and Carl's going, "Oh, I've got thunder here. It's going to be here," because Carl lives not far across the river from me. And I was thinking, great. I'm going to get thunder. I can prove my goddamn theory. And I'm out in the garden with a can of beans and a whisk. And the next day he went, "Are you still with me?" And I was like, "Yes, I didn't get any lightning. It just didn't work."
Oh.
I was hoping for a miracle. But no, it's good though, because at the end of the day, no matter how much you like, I mean, yeah, it was freaking funny that night. But at the end
hilarious.
Of the day, you know,
some good points came out of it there. I mean, I think me and Paul took more out of it than you and Ashley did, because you and Ashley were like, which was just hilarious. But me and Paul, actually, we could have took stuff. Well, I know I took stuff from that and was like, oh.
I got loads of thought ideas from that, and as I said,
well,
it's given birth to
you're writing a PhD, so
I'll definitely about this one. It's going to be so funny as well. I'm not
even looking at the chat room because he's off on one again on the time travel, and I'm not even entertaining it anymore. I've made my point.
I'm going to have a look in the chat room.
No, I've made my point on time travel. That happened. I believe we have a show coming up where we can rehash this argument. But
you can have the argument after my blog. That's fine.
Are you on that show together?
Well, it's a paranormal concept show.
Yeah, I want Ashley on that night.
Right. Oh, that is going to be hell. I will definitely be tuning in that night, and I highly recommend that anybody listening tunes in that night as well.
Oh dear, that's going to be good. But yeah, I mean that conversation gave rise to a few of my ideas.
You can tell I'm preparing because I've already looked into the butterfly theory.
I am actually going to look in the chat room. It's got to be done.
And for the record, although he says he's right, he's not actually right. It's a different concept he's looking at, and that doesn't make it a right concept that he's got because I'm right, because I'm a girl, and that just that outweighs everything. All right.
I'm also
just saying.
I'm also going to be looking at some of the because again I'm heavily influenced by the movies. I'm also going to be looking at the different aspects and traits of their time travel and how they
Okay.
work.
Yeah, because
So,
you
like,
do
for
see that,
example,
don't you? Do you see different theories come up within films?
yeah, I mean, like for example, H.G. Wells is the Time Machine.
Stupid film.
His time machine is just basically a chair with a massive big fan on the back of
Yeah.
it.
What about
On
Bill and
that,
Ted?
it creates a bubble around him, and time travels around him rather than in the bubble. And you obviously get to see the time forward and reversing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that really, in theory, wouldn't work because the planet moves.
God.
Yeah, so how would you know where you're ending up? You wouldn't.
Exactly. So that's where the flaw in that idea would work.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you on this one, Paul.
And there's various other. I mean, even Back to the Future, there's major flaws in that as well.
I've
But
still
you'll have
not
to.
seen that.
I'm not being funny,
Yeah,
but I think you'll find in anything in regards to time travel, there are
A
major
can of beans
flaws.
and a whisk.
There are major flaws in every freaking
know what?
theory. I think if you was really going to pull it apart, there are major
I-
flaws.
The only one that's probably got it about right would be Doctor Who.
In that phone box.
Yeah.
But the way he travels, because when he travels through
Time and space
space,
continuum, isn't it? Rather than just being
when
time.
he travels through space, it's not the TARDIS that moves; it's around him.
No,
But
I'm
when he
sure
travels-
in the graphics he's whisking around in a spinny box.
Yeah, with his can of beans and his whisk.
Exactly, right?
That's when he's traveling through time because it's a time and space machine.
Yeah.
So he travels through space as well as time.
Yeah, we got that, Paul. But
Yeah,
I am so sorry if anybody can hear the noises coming from my house. My children have decided to be very loud.
Now we want to be quiet so we can hear.
No, I'm sat looking for something to throw at the wall as a hint to be like, shut up!
So yeah, it's going to be my blog, and it's going to be absolutely awesome read as always.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Paul.
It's going to be amazing, definitely. And you better.
And now
have
you've promised the comedy factor as well, so I definitely want the comedy factor in there.
Well, yeah,
Or
I'm writing it.
or
So.
a burst blood vessel in your eye.
Yeah.
It's happening too much, right? At the moment.
In there as well. I'll put that in the end. I'll apologise for your
My
burst blood
gammy
vessel.
eye. And I like the fact that everyone thinks that I'm joking on that.
No presenters were harmed in the making of this show, just saying.
No, they were definitely harmed in the making of this show.
Literally come to the end of the show. It's travelled like really fast, isn't it?
Oh, here
Time
we
travel.
go. Can of beans and a whisk.
Yeah.
Oh no, Liz was talking earlier.
It only took as long as it did to warm up a can of beans with a bit of lightning.
Honestly,
Yeah, I said.
it's as viable a theory as any other out there, I swear to God.
How are you going to hold your can of beans though? That's what I know, because you can blow your.
In my hand.
She's going to wear a rubber glove, duh.
Because
No.
electricity.
What's the fun in that? I always wanted curly hair.
Save on the hairdresser.
Yeah.
I'll turn up wherever I'm going to turn up in time with beautiful curly hair. It's going to be awesome, right? And probably natural black eyeliner as well.
Oh, well, in that case, if you get the makeup as well, I'm in.
I know, right? There you go. See, the theory is sounding better and better as we go through. Anyway, we have come to the end of the show, Paul. You're right.
Yeah. So what have we got coming up for this week?
Okay, tomorrow in the studio, Penny is with Mr. Lee Roberts himself talking all about Woolerton Hall. Then on Thursday, PSH Radio, Carl and Sam, hopefully Sam, is talking to Michelle Darnell from she is the owner of Belgrove Plantation. And then on Friday, on the Dark Mirror Show, we're talking...
Oh, dear.
Planet anomalies, everybody. Planet anomalies is what we're going down the road of. Was there really a mouse or a snake on Mars? This is a true story, right?
This is a true story.
I really wouldn't know.
It's really Saturn really losing its rings. What was
Another
seen on
true
Earth
story.
from space that was a little bit weird? Was it a wall around the world that was actually flat?
I was just going to say, was it flat?
Oh dear.
So yeah, we're talking all things planet anomalies on Friday. But God knows where that show's going to go. Oh my God, is all I can say.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for being in the chat room. It's been an absolute blast from the past and future and present. So it's a good night from me.
Good
Good
night
night
from
from
me.
me.
Oh dear, let's play it out.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.